Hello, my name is Hogan. Today I'm going to present to you the data protection law in Australia with my other two members. Australia is a rule of law country that emphasizes on privacy and personal data protection. It has been 30 years since the promulgation of the Privacy Act 1988. The privacy protection law has been continuously improved in the process in past decades. In 2010, the Office of the Australian Information Commissioner was established. The introduction of the privacy protection principles in 2014 aims to regulate the collection and processing of personal information by government agencies and companies. In 2018, the Notifiable Data Breaches Scheme was introduced to stipulate the disclosure of customers in enterprises. The data should be protected by the government includes those data that can identify an individual, such as an individual's name, signature, address, phone number, birthday, medical information, and bank information. Because this information can identify who a person is, protecting such personal detail is highly restricted by law. Both government departments and enterprises need to comply with the privacy law. In order to safeguard the national securities and prevent terrorist crimes in Australia, in 2015, Australian government has introduced the Telecommunication Amendment Act 2015, demanding Australian telecommunication operators, Telstra and Optus, to store users' telecommunication data. As soon as the new act implemented, the Australians held different opinions. However, most people agreed on new data law is able to protect the country from terrorist persecution. They are very supportive and willing to contribute in paying tax to bear the high cost of sharing data stored by telecommunication companies, which cost approximately 131 million Australian dollars per year. Advocates of civil liberties are strongly disagree with the act. They believe that metadata contains personal information, and people who are intending to engage in illegal activities can easily grasp people's telecommunication data. There is a potential threat of data breach. The responsibility of organizations in data protection. Its business have the responsibility to protect personal information from data breach, which may lead to customers' loss, theft, or unauthorized access. A business owner has the responsibility to take reasonable steps to destroy or de-identify personal information when it's no longer needed for any purpose permitted under the Privacy Act 1988. This might include shredding documents or storing them in a secure area. Government is responsible for supervising organizations on data protection and issuing effective policies to regulate Australian enterprises. In Australia, the Privacy Act states that as an enterprise's annual revenue exceeds $3 million, the company needs to strictly comply with the law to set up their own privacy policies to prevent data breach. When it comes to a data breach, which might have an adverse effect on customers, organizations must inform the OAIC in order to avoid further loss of the customers. To protect customers' data, it is important to ensure the network security process of the business. The organization needs to review its current plans and process to ensure the network security system is capable to prevent cybercrime. Also, to make sure all employees understand their roles to avoid unauthorized access to customers' data. Also, to improve the awareness of business employees in responsible to measures. The main purpose of amending the law is to better protect everyone's data, including the business and the message of the consumers. Once the organizations knows how to deal with security vulnerabilities, it can be more accurately detected criminal behaviors.
Hi, I'm Lucy. I'm focusing on the second topic, which is associated with the current level of the responsibility and the role of the government and individual organization when a major data breach happened in Australia. For instance, data breach has become more and more common. Survive. The World Economic Forum Global Risk Report 2018 conclude that the cyber attacks that were previously considered large-scale are today seen as normal. Hackers are more ingenious. The threats are becoming more sophisticated. Hackers are increasingly ingenious and are using advanced technology such as machine learning to launch attacks. Let's have a concentrate on the chart of the data breach. During this year, the data breach has affected the amazing numbers of the people around the world. And what situation could happen data breach? Such as laptop talent, mobile phone loss, or stolen. Moreover, one data breach in people's real life has already happened in the May. The food distribution company said in the blog post on Thursday that 4.9 million customer distributors and merchants were hacked. The company also said that the consumer are using at least 4 digits of the payment card, although the full digital and card verification value is not used. The last 4 digits of the bank account of the delivery person and the merchant were stolen. About 100,000 delivery workers were also stolen from dividing license information for the violation. By the way, in response to the vulnerability, DoorDash said it has added more layers of security to protect people's data and improve the security protocols needed to access this data. DoorDash encouraged people to change their password even if they are not affected, but still worry about the security of their accounts. Let's move into the next part. After this play out part of the real case, there are some laws about the data breach. The 1988 Privacy Act is Australia's law on privacy. To be honest, the law aim is to ensure that organizations pay more attention to the protection of the personal information by making an organization obligated to declare data breach and explain to the public how it responds. Affecting individuals will receive the right information to understand the risk and minimize the damage that may result from the unauthority discard of the personal information. Although the most of Australian digital infrastructure is owned by the private sector, cybersecurity is shared responsibility of the government, the private sector, and individuals. The government is committed to promoting Australia's national network partnership efforts to mitigate cybersecurity risk and reduce the risk to the Australia's national security due to the large-scale complex cyber threats. Furthermore, the responsibility of the government is to protect the privacy of the citizens. When data leakage occurs, the government should solve in time and minimize the damage when it comes regulation. By the way, how to solve the situation and how to avoid the data breach? We should alleviate the burden on individual companies by focusing on the systematic approach to cyber threats. To some extent, this approach will require the federal government to play more active role in the cyber defense. For the government, they should invest more resources to gain intelligence about the potential cyber attacks against private entity and then take steps to prevent such. For individuals, software provider can use secure coding practices to prevent loopholes. At the same time, for both, professional techniques are required to check network security regularly. So that's all my part. Thank you.
My topic is what can business do to safeguard customer data? There are three main reasons causes data breaches. The first one is malicious insider. It can be current or former employees, contractors, or business partner. The second one is lost or stolen devices or information items. The third one is malicious outside actors, like hackers or scammers. So how do we do to prevent this? The first one is encryption for personal or sensitive data. Encryption is one of the most important methods to make sure that safeguards data. Encryption is widely used among the internet to protect the user information being sent between borrowers and saver, including password, payment information, and other personal information that should be considered private. How to do this? The first one is develop the software by company or reliable outside company. Second one, update the software to prevent new technology breaking the encryption. The third one, set up police to enforce it. Next one is set up regular testing to make sure encryption is fine. The final one is only high-level employee could have the access to the volume data. The second one is educating employee and the customer. Employee training may be monthly or quarterly to remind employees to protect the customers' important and sensitive data. It can be put in the company employee news, enforcing strict policy and practice. For example, tell them to do not open the website that looks dangerous, and do not open the link in email from strangers. And do not download suspicious things or non-work related. Customer can be only set very hard passwords that are difficult to decipher for their accounts. For example, a combination of letters and numbers and symbols. Educating customers through different avenues, such as email, information on website, and personal face-to-face talks. If the customer is in store on how to safeguard their own data, for example, do not open suspicious links or things like company will never ask for sensitive information. Tell them to let employees know that when they lost sensitive information or feel they are at risk. The third one is employment. Employee and employee monitoring program. Auditing and policies are enforced to check behavior, activities. Block contact that you do not want to have employees view at. How to achieve that? To have random auditing a system software that monitoring network usage at work. This behavior could reduce the malicious insider to prevent the workers to lose or steal the customer data from the company. The last one is automation. Automation is the use electronic and computer controlled device to assume control of process. While automation is important, the aim of automation is to boost reliability. Human error is responsible for the majority of data breaches. So, as the possibility of error is reduced, so is the possibility of data breaches. So it can reduce the possibility of data breaches. So how can we achieve that? We can update the system, check regularly if there is any bugs, causes data lost or stolen by others. Automated such as regular password checks and reminders to change them. Technology such as firewall to warn employees filtering or emails and internet. Have backup on system to make sure that the customer's data is protected, and if they lost their data can be found from the backup. This is our references list, and this is the end of our presentation. Thank you.